Welcome to my 25 days of Christmas, day 16, red cabbage. Now this isn't any red cabbage, we're talking apple, port, red wine, and those all important Christmas spices. Let's get it. Red cabbage, one of my favourite condiments and parts of a Christmas dinner. It's spiced, it's sweet, it's acidic, kind of like a sweet and sour element that brings bags of freshness to your Christmas dinner. I make mine with apple, red onion, a little bit of dried cranberry, some thyme and anise. First things first, get your vegetables prepped. So I've got an onion here, I'm just going to slice it. If you're not comfortable slicing things too thin, you can use a mandolin for all of this, to be honest. Apple, take the cheeks off and you end up with the core. You can put in your vinegars or other things that you do with cores, compost basically. Take your apple, I'm using the Pink Lady apple because I like the flavour, I like the sweetness, and I also like the structure. When you cook a Pink Lady apple, it doesn't break down straight away, it holds its integrity. So one of them sliced up nice and thin. Now, red cabbage. I've got half a red cabbage here. I'm going to cut it in half again and then take out that white core, just because it gets a little bit woody and it's quite hard to cook down and eat. Same on the other side, and this is where our friend comes in, the Japanese mandolin, the secret weapon of any good kitchen. And you just glide your red cabbage over the blade. You have got guards that come with these, just be very, very careful when you're using them. And you want this the same thickness as everything else, nice and thin. Just going to preheat my pan. I'm getting to the end of the mise en place stage. Now, when I braise cabbage, I want to sweat it down first. I don't want loads of water in there, making it difficult for the cabbage to get up to a temperature when it's going to give you its juice. I want to sweat it down with salt and pepper and intensify the flavour before I add any extra liquid. So oil goes in, and then you get all your cabbage, all your onion, all your apple straight in there. Now, as soon as it's in there, you want to get the stir in straight away. Although this is going to cook down and reduce into a thick powerhouse of flavour, you don't want it caramelised. You want it sweated, sweetened, intensified. No roasted sort of onion flavour, roasted apple, roasted cabbage flavour. We're going to add a bit of salt, help the vegetables give their juice, and a good hit of pepper. Star anise, turn this right down, and then they're going to sweat for about 3 to 4 minutes. You can use a lid if you've got one. So while that's sweating down, I love adding dried fruit into my food. It's an intensified flavour that's already done for you. I've got some cranberries here. I'm going to get those out onto the board. These are dried cranberries. You can pick them up from any of your supermarkets and just give them a chop through. I don't want people to know there's cranberries in there. I just want the flavour that they give. They just add a certain acidity, a certain sourness, and a lovely sort of viscosity that you want with a good braised red cabbage. This is now sweated beautifully. You can see the cabbage is starting to break down slightly. The apples are going a little bit translucent. Can't even see the onion anymore. This is when we go in with the liquid. Now, I like half red wine, half port. This is a balance. This is a marriage between sweet and sour. The red wine for that sort of adult hit astringence, and a good hit of port for the sweetness. And that red wine will bolster the sourness that we're going to add in the form of vinegar, dry cranberries. I've got apple, I've got onion, I've got cabbage, I've got dried cranberries, port, red wine, and we're just going to chuck in a sprig of thyme. That's what I want, man. I want that like tang-fastic wine gum flavour, and this is how you impair that into a stunning red cabbage. Now, I tend to cook this in 2 stages. I braise the cabbage. You can put this in the oven at this stage, tin foil over the top and bake it. I like just keeping it on the stove. Put a lid on the pan, simmer it slowly for 25 minutes. Now we're going to take the lid off and reduce it for about 10 minutes. This is the stage where you need to keep an eye on it. You need to constantly stir it because it can catch at the bottom. The amount of sugar that's in there from the apple, from the port, from the cranberries, that will concentrate and it can burn very easily. This has been reducing now for about 10 minutes. It's thick, it's glossy. We're going to add a little bit of vinegar, another hit of salt, take that off your heat, and then you stir and move that around. Now, this is at the stage where you can put it in the fridge for up to 3 to 4 days. Get it out on the day of the event. You can reheat it in the microwave, to be honest, or you could put it back on the stove and reheat it in a pan. I wouldn't do this on the day that you need it. I would do it a couple of days in advance. Let it steep and sit in the fridge. Leave that flavour just to mature slightly. So take it out. into our bowl, bang a fork in it, and that goes straight onto the table. Now this condiment isn't just for Christmas. You can use this with venison, with game birds, with rabbit, even with aged beef. This stuff is an amazing element to be able to make and have in your arsenal. With the cranberry, the thyme, the anise, the apple, the onion, that port and red wine reduced right down to its essence, this is a banging red cabbage, good enough for your Christmas table. A bang, y'all!